I never felt ashamed or afraid to try out creative ideas because I never expect any of them to work. I'm very used to producing things where people go, nope, not interested. And so I don't have some great expectation that this thing has to be perfect. This has to amaze everybody. I have very, very low expectations. So when something does become successful, I'm in shock. But I don't begin a project expecting success. I don't start from some expectation. I just start from having fun doing it. And if it becomes a success, then that's a bonus. But that's not the point. The point is to have some discovery, have some creative fulfillment, make people enjoy some sort of an idea, share myself intimately through the song, through the film, through whatever. I think the reason why I became quite confident creatively was that I had a terrible time in school and they thought I was a real problem. In fact, they would tell my friends, don't hang out with that guy. And then when I left school, I didn't want to go to university. I went straight into a job in a film company as a runner, making the tea, you know. And they don't care about the runners. They treat you with ambivalence. They don't like you, they don't hate you, they just don't care about you. You're the tea boy. But for me, being treated that way was such a step up that I thought, these people love me. And I became really, really confident. I think my empathy just comes from I spent a lot of my childhood alone. I once had a therapist who said to me, Jamie, have you noticed that every single story you tell me about your childhood, you were by yourself? And I think there was a loneliness to living in a place where I wanted to be very honest and intimate, but I grew up in a very conservative place where people would look at you like if you said the wrong thing or you revealed a family secret. And I think I didn't realize I was falling in love with the archetype of the sacred fool at that time. You know, everybody's in the room saying, don't look at the elephant, nobody mention the elephant, nobody look at that elephant. And then the sacred fool comes in and goes, hey, who left this elephant here? And everyone goes, oh. And that was always me, is saying the thing that everyone was trying not to say. And it got me in a lot of lonely trouble. The tipping point was when my best friend died. It gave me a kind of a hall pass. Nobody can tell me what to do anymore. My best friend's just died. No one can expect me to do anything. Nobody can boss me around. Nobody can... It kind of removed me from any rules or any expectations of other people. It didn't matter what I did after that. When my friend died, it kind of showed me life is so unpredictable. Anything can happen at any minute. And so you might as well just do what you want to do. And so I immediately picked up a guitar and started a band and used songs to express how I felt. And so, yeah, I think the tipping point of just like realizing nothing really matters in the way that we make it matter. Obviously, some things matter, but we make things so important, how people think of me, my success, my ego, my image. We make things like that so important. And when somebody close to you dies, you suddenly realize so many things that you have made important are not important. And that releases a lot of creativity because suddenly these limitations of maybe this will fail, maybe people will think I'm stupid, maybe people will think I'm mediocre. You don't care, you know, so death is good for that. In my life, things that matter are kindness, patience, emotional honesty, intimacy, genuine connection with each other. I think most people would agree that loving kindness and honesty, you know, the basics, is everybody's ideology. That's why the movies which champion those concepts become the biggest movies. I always joke, everyone loves the movie Billy Elliot. It's a little English movie about a child who wants to be a ballet dancer. And it's courage and it's breaking through old rules, and it's this boy finally melting into a beautiful relationship with his father, who feels embarrassed that his son wants to do ballet. And it's got all the beautiful, authentic, vulnerable qualities. And of course, everyone in their heart wants that in their life. I'm pretty sure that everyone kind of has the same ideology. I think sometimes when we get afraid, or we get jealous, or we get triggered into competitiveness, or we get confused by the superficial media, we can forget the ideology of love and kindness. But I think most of the time, most people are into loving kindness pretty much, unless they're really broken. The training ground for me, for all the tools and the creativity, and especially the deeper stuff with the shadow work and intimacy work and working with groups, it was all a pathway from surviving mental illness. When I was a teenager, I had insane panic attacks. I was vomiting, diarrhea, snot coming out my nose, tears. I was such a mess. Every single time it started getting dark, I would start shaking and freaking out. And I had to learn certain things in order to survive that intensity and that terror. I had to learn how to breathe. I had to learn how to let other people know how I felt and not be ashamed, but really say, hey, this is happening. I had to learn to reach out to other people. I had to be trained in a kind of empathy through other people's suffering. I had to read certain things to find out how to ground myself, how to feel okay with a big diversity of feelings. Our culture is very comfort addicted. So most people, they only want to feel the nice things. And anytime they feel something that's uncomfortable, it's like, no, run straight to the fridge, run to internet shopping, run to addictions, run to smoking, sex. And I had to learn very young that I couldn't escape my dark and painful feelings. There was no cake in the fridge or, joint that was going to make it go away. So I had to, in a way, force myself, or I had to discipline myself to learn how to feel okay in both my darkness and my light. I didn't have any choice. The shadows is the place we hide away. The places which we were shown when we were small were unwelcome. In one house, they might say to you that being too loud is unwelcome. Shh, quiet down, too much. Stop showing off in front of your friends and make you feel ashamed. And that person will like, oh God, it's not safe to be loud. I better be quiet. Next door, the house might be, stand up straight, speak loud. We don't shrink away in this family. We speak loud and proud. So this one doesn't have permission to be quiet. So now he's going to be a loud person and he's hidden away his quiet nature. Most people didn't grow up with permission to be angry. Angry was naughty in most houses. So they've swallowed and swallowed and swallowed their anger, and that's hidden away in the shadows until it explodes. The more of these things we suppress, eventually there's an explosion. Like they say, beware the anger of the quiet man. Most people have lost their permission for their tears. Even in a beautiful workshop, somebody starts expressing something tender, and then they unexpectedly start crying and they go, oh, sorry. And it's so heartbreaking that they need to apologize for such a beautiful thing, which is your tears. So their natural grief is hidden away in the shadows. So these are not small parts of us that have been hidden away in the shadows. We've hidden away our grief. We've hidden away our permission to be angry. We've hidden away our sexiness. We've hidden away our nakedness. We've hidden away our creativity. We've hidden away our ability to stand up in front of other humans and feel comfortable. These are huge parts of being a human. So I've made up lots of games to invite these places back in a safe way, because when you turn towards these things, they're actually lovely little friends that just want to come home. We've built our shadows into these big monsters that no one must ever see, but that's just in our imagination in years and years of darkness. Actually, when we play sweet shadow games and we welcome, they're just very lost little children that want to come home. And that process of turning towards these places and inviting them home is a very tender, sweet, intimate, beautiful thing. And to do it in groups of people is very beautiful, because everybody realizes we're all crazy, we're all wearing masks, we're all scared of being rejected. We're all running similar programs. And so there are ways to unedit ourselves, to bring ourselves back towards being whole without it having to be a big trauma. It can be a very, very beautiful, sweet, and hilarious process.